Wanna talk? So let's talk. Here. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna
Good evening and welcome, my friends. It's Talk to Solomon time. Our most favorite guest, Dr. Alan Keyes, joins us. Alan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, Stan. How are you?
Good. And of course, my co-host tonight is Brent Johnson of the Global Freedom Report. His new website, freedomradio.us, will shortly be up with its new and improved look. Brent, good evening.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not a new website. It's a new look to the website. Alan, how are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you, Brent?
Doing just great.
Alan, there is much to talk about tonight, but I would like to start with a discussion by Juan Williams. Now, Juan Williams, whose name frustrates me because whenever you say it, it sounds like you have a lisp, has made a true statement. Now, for a liberal to make a true statement is newsworthy. For a black liberal who is so ingrained with liberalism to make a radically true statement is mind-boggling. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with the statement he made, but let me semi-quote it. Juan Williams said, the left media, quote, will shut you down, stab you, kill you, fire you for disagreeing. I think he understated it. I think we have a leftist cabal in this country made up of politicians, the media, and educators, and throw in a few labor leaders and a few communists, that has a game plan to actually eliminate their competition, if you will. Now, I may be a little bit radical, but I don't think much. Your thoughts, please.
Well, Stan, I, of course, am not going to disagree with you and say that to entertain this as a fact is some kind of, I don't know, unrealistic or speculative statement, because I have tried over the course of several years now to get people to focus on the fact that we are not faced with a situation right now that in any sense is politics or even life as usual in America. I think that we have elements in what I call the elitist faction who are now seriously dedicated to use all their power, and it is considerable, to overthrow the Constitution, overthrow government of, by, and for the people, overthrow the regime that respects the basic rights of individuals, get rid of it, and impose in its place a rule of, by, and for the elites, making use of a monopoly of force, and, by the way, a monopoly of the platforms of communication. A totalitarian, despotic, tyrannical regime that, though it may dress a little differently and use a slightly different rhetoric, will engage in the same kind of practices that we saw in the old Soviet Union and in its empire of despotic totalitarian tyranny. So I think that we're well along that road. And I wish I could say that I thought it was only the self-avowed communists like Barack Obama. I know some people haven't read his book, don't realize that he just comes out and basically says that he's one of these hard left communists. His whole background shows it. But it's not only those people. Because sadly, I think we can see in many respects all the way across to people who wear a GOP label and claim to be a conservative, people who are embracing the agenda of this elitist faction to reject constitutional government constrained by respect for God-endowed right and replace it with an arbitrary tyranny of, by, and for the few and for their benefit, with pretty much no limit on what government can claim to do in the name of the power they would then have consolidated. So I think you're looking at a phenomenon that applies, it obviously and overtly has applied to the most outspoken of the left-wing liberal journals. But sadly, Stan, I think it's quietly at work in pretty much the whole corporate structure of the elite in our society. You see evidence of the censorship and the common agenda in Fox News and other places as well. And the key proof I cite of this is the way all of them, across the board, dealt with the issue of eligibility and the Constitution's language about the requirement that a president be a natural-born citizen. They treated it with the utmost contempt, didn't bother and didn't care about reason, persuasion, logic, truth, the words of the Constitution, the integrity of the Constitution, and this was true across the board.
Couldn't have said it any better. Brent, your thoughts?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can add to what Alan just said. The real bottom line here is that truth has been relegated to a minor value in our society. And as long as that's the case, the power-hungry are encouraged to seek more power. The media is encouraged to seek greater control, because truth doesn't really have value. If the politicians found value in truth, they would tell us the truth. If media found value in truth, they would tell us the truth. So, we've got a society where we have really abandoned truth as a valuable trait. And because of that, these things that Alan has just described have grown up around us. It's like we have created fertile ground for metaphorical weeds. You want to get rid of the weeds? Okay, change the value system by which your society is governed.
Now we have another stage. I don't think it's different, but it is different. And some people think I'm fixated on this, and they can say whatever they want. They have a right to their opinion. I believe that the route to the destruction of truth and morality is homosexuality. And now we've had come up that there is a quote-unquote gay mafia operating at the Vatican, that there is blackmail being utilized. Some say that it's the reason that this Pope is resigning. I don't think it has a shred of credibility, but it doesn't make any difference. I think that there is, in fact, a gay underbelly to the Catholic Church as well as the rest of society, and it's evil, and it's malicious, and it's vindictive, and it's self-destructive. I think I've thrown out enough there for Alan to take it from there.
Well, Stan, I think one ought to be clear, though, about what is serving what in this scenario. Because I thought a lot over the course of the years about this. There's a why question that has to be asked. Why this huge, tremendous, focused push to force acceptance of homosexuality on the society at large? And I don't believe it has anything to do with serving homosexuals. I think that they are, and the whole movement that is focused on homosexuality has another objective. And I think that the aim of it all is what lies at the root of what I believe is much of what's going on in our society. It is part of the ongoing, incessant, implacable war against God and against anything whatsoever that is part of the faith and allegiance that many people in the world have to God as creator and as arbiter of human justice. I think it's particularly aimed and directed at the basic foundations of Christianity, and that homosexuality is then one of those things that you use to lure people who call themselves Christians into abandoning Christian theology. And they'll claim, oh, we're just being tolerant of this or that behavior. But at the root of the controversy over homosexuality, it's not just a question of behavior. It's a question of whether, in the Christian context, the Scripture is true or lying on the first page of the Scripture. Because the first page of the Scripture, practically, about man says, male and female he created them, But here's the important thing. I really hope that folks, particularly Christian people and folks who take the Bible seriously and believe that it is truth, will ponder the fact that that first thing that's told us is then explained. In the image and likeness of God made he them, the male and the female man. What does this mean? It means that if you deny the male and female distinction that is talked about in the scripture, if you say it is of no account, if you say that it's irrelevant and so forth and so on, you're not just denying or saying something about sexual behavior. You're saying something about who God is. For there is something about the maleness and femaleness and that what it implies, the context for it in procreation, all that it conveys when you think it through, that is not just telling us about our own behavior. It is telling us about God, because we are made in the image and likeness of God. And why is the sexual distinction so critical? Because God in the scripture is not portrayed as pronouncing human creation complete, finished, perfected. We are not told that he does this until after Eve is created. Which means that something about what is reflected in us of who God is has to do with that sexual distinction. So in denying the sexual distinction, you are denying God as he is revealing himself in and through the scripture. You're denying it at a radical level. And that, I think, explains the why and wherefore of this push. Last point about our own regime. The denial of God isn't just for Americans some kind of a pleasant theoretical question. Because the claim that is made by the people to govern themselves is rooted in a logic that begins with this simple premise that we are all created, equal, and endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Deny the Creator, deny his authority, deny that he in fact is the substance of what is right, and therefore determines those actions and inclinations which are right, and you have denied the foundation of the whole American way of life. And that's what I think is going on here.
I think you're 100% correct. I think that it is evil. And I think that human beings are human. The very concept of humanity is that we are constantly in this battle between doing the right thing or not doing the right thing, doing the wrong thing or not doing the wrong thing. I'll let Brent take it from there.
Well, and I completely agree with everything that Alan just said. I do disagree with your characterization, Stan. I do not think homosexuality is the root of the problem. I think it is simply a symptom, one of many, many symptoms of what Alan said, which is the abandonment of God and the moral background that comes from faith in a creator, a single entity that created us all. And I think all the other stuff that we talk about, the gun control, the homosexuality, the liberals, the conservatives, all of it are like branches, symptoms, if you will, of that greater problem. You fix the problem, all the symptoms will disappear. Unless you fix the problem, there's nothing you can do. It's like, you pull out the weeds and they grow right back because you still have the root problem. So, I think that, the homosexual agenda is clearly not about homosexuals or homosexuality. It's very much about the undermining of the freedom of the people, undermining of the family, exercising greater controls, all of that. And that comes from an attack on faith in God. And so I do think that the lack of faith in God is at the root of our problems. And the homosexuality is simply a symptom as a result.
Well, I listen and I hear what you're saying. And I go back to what Alan said. I believe that to accept homosexuality is to deny God. I think that Alan hit it exactly. That it is a tool, a vehicle, a concept, whatever you want to call it, I mean, whether you talk about stealing, you talk about lying, you talk about all, if you say that what the basis of our understanding of God's creation of humanity, if you argue with that, if you disagree with that, if you reject that, and say we may have been born, I don't know if you heard this, guys. I was told this tonight that a Massachusetts Board of Education, either a city in Massachusetts or the state, I don't know which, has decreed and declared that from this day forward, no child shall be told of his gender until preschool, and then the child can make up his, her, its own mind without parental interference. It goes right back to the same thing. Alan, would you agree?
Oh, I do. And I think, by the way, that that's an intolerable destruction of basic natural rights. Our Declaration of Independence says that government exists to secure our God-endowed rights. And one of the foundational God-endowed rights, it has to do with that which creates the unity and existence and mutual obligations that are inherent in family life. For the state to move in and claim that it can somehow dictate what parents are going to share with their children on this fundamental question is a travesty of right. I wrote an article recently at WorldNet Daily talking about it in that very sense. And I have been arguing for the longest time that when you see people like Laura Bush and so-called conservatives and others who still pretend that they care about the Constitution or believe in concept of rights promoting this agenda, I guess one could say that I hope it's because they're just ignorant and thoughtless rather than because they're really committed to the ultimate fruit of the agenda, which is to redefine unalienable rights so that it has no basis but government fiat. So that it will be what the government is going to say is tolerable, rather than anything that is inherent in the way we are made by our Creator. And the sad thing is, Stan, that transcendent source of right is what gives each and every individual who is actually exercising such a right the authority to stand firm against its violation, no matter what color of law or species of lawfulness is asserted for it. And that, of course, is fundamental to the whole doctrine of rights in America, including, of course, the defense of our Second Amendment rights, to which it is related. So I think that what homosexuality represents in the way of a conceptual movement is the cutting edge of an effort utterly to destroy the concept of individual natural rights and to substitute for it fabricated rights that government power dictates and preserves, and which government power can, of course, take away anytime they please.
Isn't it interesting that you have a right to choose your sexual orientation according to these people, but you don't have a right to survive by having the means to do so? The Second Amendment Foundation has started a movement to say that survival is the quintessential main human right, that everyone should have the means to survive. Would you agree, Alan?
I think that is quite clearly been the argument. It's not something they're just making up, because if you read Locke and others who articulated the basic premises of the concept of natural right and natural rights that the founders were operating on, this is clearly what they came from. And that notion that the fundamental right is the right to do what is necessary to fulfill our obligation to God, to preserve the life He has given us, that was fundamental to their argument.
Alan, it sounds like you have some Democrats visiting. I'm not sure, but you need to tell them to stop barking. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back, give Alan a chance to put away his Democrats, and we'll be right back with more right here on Talk to Solomon. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put it on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 Supercolloidal Silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get Supercolloidal Silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's the kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you, and you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mosey, the backup people, for thousands, for Stan, for thousands of people, for tens of thousands of people, is simply common sense. You go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mosey. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done. Sooner or later, it's going to be Mosey, the backup people.